All right, good morning. Let's check out, welcome to the live stream. Let's check out some charts. So now Aussie CAD pushing up big today already. Just doing a bit of a retracement, I guess it looks like. I think all the Aussie pairs are gaining a little bit of strength. So nothing serious, but we'll keep that in mind. It's not in any areas that we would like to take trades or anything at, so just got to watch it as this winds down the second half of the month here. So Aussie CAD kind of pretty bullish today, but nothing really to trade from it. Aussie Swiss pushing back into this main area that it broke and is retesting it with a big bullish candle, so we'll see how that closes today. I am in this trade, but might actually just move it to break even. I was up quite a bit, but now it's pushing back, so might just get out at break even and look to short it again next week, especially if it breaks and holds this area still. If this candle closes below this zone, which I think it might, then we will still remain short, but well, we'll have to see. So Aussie yen, this is interesting. So the yen pairs, I don't know if it's just the Aussie yen or if it's all the yen pairs, but it seems to be pushing up. So there's obviously this area of resistance here that price is testing right now. So we'll see how that fares out towards the rest of the day, but you can see price came down here and there's a lot of rejection, so it's actually making higher highs and higher lows. So the bullish momentum might be coming back into the market, looking at it this way. So that is something to watch. Might be buying Aussie yen and then maybe all the yen pairs earlier than I thought. I thought it would be probably next month, but might be buying them sooner, so we will wait for that. We have to wait and see if it breaks this area. If this candle closes full like this, that's a good sign it will, but we have to wait. Aussie Kiwi breaking up again. I think this is the, let's put this line here. Let's see roughly. This doesn't really know what it wants to do. Like I said, I said this yesterday, Aussie Kiwi ranges quite a bit. That's kind of all it does. It doesn't really trend, so you just kind of have to buy and sell it off of resistance zones like you do with everything else, but you just can't really expect it to trend. So I mean, we'll see what it does when it gets to this area where it rejected before. As of right now, there's nothing. This candle is pretty bullish. It's engulfing this. It's engulfing yesterday's candle right now, so just have to wait for that one as well. Lots of strength in the Aussie. Even Aussie dollar pushing back up, headed towards this 69 level, but we will see how the day closes. No trades on this one, obviously. We just have to wait. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. So this ASX 200 index here, you can see this massive bullish candle today come into this zone and completely get rejected. Granted, there is 9 hours left for it to close, but even yesterday it hit this area and rejected it as well. So this is a good sign. You can see here rejection, all this rejection, all this previous rejection. This is an area that it wants to sell from. So this was just a basic trade idea I had yesterday. Obviously this is a very aggressive stop and would not have worked out, but I don't usually use stops to begin with. I think it's just I just put them in on the charts here so that you guys can see kind of if you were to put a stop in, kind of where you would put it. Obviously you would probably put the stop out of this zone, but based on yesterday's close, if you wanted to do a more aggressive stop, you could have, but you would have been stopped out if you did that. But I would just and again, I would have waited until, I wouldn't even have placed the trade until there was significant bearish momentum into the market. So this huge rejection is not enough yet. I need a big bearish candle to like engulf this one. I need like a big gray candle like that. So it probably wouldn't be today, it would be tomorrow, especially like to end the week. That would be a great sign, and then next week I would get into that trade. So, but it is setting up really nice. I'm going to keep this marked. This is excellent. You can make a lot of money off this if you just wait it out, and we will wait for a bearish engulfing candle, which would probably be tomorrow. We need today to close like this. We need tomorrow to be a bearish engulfing candle, and then we will enter probably Monday, and that'll be an excellent trade. CAD Swiss. Okay, so price coming back up slowly but surely, probably headed to this zone that I marked out. The CAD currency is getting stronger across the board, and this seems to be retracing perfectly, just probably slow and steady. I mean, if you wanted to get in on something here, you probably could. Let's see what we do here. I would find an area of resistance. It's not really a good one here, but you could go off of one of these candles. So something like this. If you wanted to get in on this now, you could. You can see the bullish momentum coming in. It had all its rejection at this previous area. You can see the bulls have re-entered the market, so like this is a good time to enter now. And then you just want to set your stop. If you were to set a stop, you want to set it at one of these lows, because there's a chance that price retests, like tomorrow retests one of these lows. But if you keep the stop below these previous candles lows, there's a better chance that you won't get stopped out. And you still get a decent R, like you get a 3R right now, 3.3 if you want to take it now, or wait for it to come back a little bit to a whole level, or yeah, whatever really makes sense to you in your trading strategy. This is just kind of my philosophies when it comes to trading, but this is something that I would take if I didn't have a bunch of other trades open. CAD yen. So these yen pairs pushing back up. Yesterday was a big day back up. Today is still bullish, but slowly. So yeah, don't see much with this yet. I think it's just going to trickle up to this zone here, and then go from there. So not really much to do with this pair for the next little bit, but it's nice to see that it did find significant rejection and is moving back up, so that's good. Swiss yen I'm currently in, so it's pulling back a little bit today, and then odds are it's just got to find some support and then it'll head higher, I hope. So something like that. So you're seeing it touch this zone, find its area of support before it wants to head higher, and then ideally it'll come touch this area again, break it, and head higher and go towards its monthly range of 164.5 here. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yesterday was very bullish. There's a ton of bullish momentum. Today it's pulling back, but this is as of right now, it's a very insignificant candle. So just going to, yeah, maybe it might add to this position actually, depending on how today closes, and tomorrow might add to the position on Monday, so we'll see. But that's Swiss yen. The dollar index, you can see the dollar is getting stronger again. It was pulling back today a little bit after yesterday's bullish day, and now it seems to be pulling back upwards again. So I do believe the dollar is going to get stronger. It's still very weak, obviously. It's below this moving average, so it is bearish, but I do think that it's found its bottom for the month, and now it's going to trickle back up to this area of resistance, maybe a little bit below, but I do think it'll come up a bit higher. I do think it'll come up to this 50%, the 618 zone, the bottom of this area here. I do think it'll come up, and it'll probably take all of the rest of the month. It'll slowly make its way up. It's Euro 50 index, so I'm actually in this trade as well. It's taking its sweet time. I took it off here, so it is good, but it's wicking hard. It's found resistance clearly on this 4 hour here. You can see rejection, rejection, rejection. Ideally it's going to break it. It just comes down to when. I can delete this. So hopefully this breaks this soon, heads lower, just like the other indexes. So that's what I'm waiting for this to do. I think this is, if price does come, if you want to get in now, you could. If price, just keep your stop at least above this candle, maybe even above this zone. It's not going to give you the best R ratio, but I mean, you could even take it. If price comes up to here, you could take it for a little bit better one. I do believe it is a good short. It just depends on what kind of price you can get. If it pulls up more and you can get a better price, great. If you can't, whatever, get in now. You can always get in now and get in again later. It's totally up to you. I do think this is a great short, and this is a perfect area to sell from if price comes back up. And then if price breaks this area, it should head down dramatically back to this big zone here. Okay, this is interesting. So Euro Aussie, I was watching this yesterday. I could see it touching this zone. It was in this zone. Now you got this huge bearish momentum back out of this zone, which is awesome. So I do think that this is turning around. I do think that this is the high for the month, and I do think it's going to continue down. So as far as the trade setup goes, I would probably go off this. If price retests this area, which probably won't do it today, but maybe tomorrow, if it does decide to retest, then you would keep your, get rid of this, you would keep your stop out of this zone, enter this trade at the zone, and target this entire monthly range of 650 pips. And the Euro Aussie moves pretty good once it starts moving, so I think you could even get on it now. It just depends on if you set stops, where you want to put stops. But the bullish, or the bearish momentum out of this zone is massive, and you can see this candle totally engulfing this candle which wicked yesterday in this zone. So you could even go like this. Yeah, so price rejection, huge rejection, this previous zone here. So yeah, I do think this is an excellent short. You can get in now, you can get in later if it decides to pull back and retrace it all. If you can get a better price off maybe this supply area here, you can do something like this. Maybe shrink your stop a little bit off the 4 hour, get a better entry, something like that. You can definitely do that with the Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro CAD. Trickling its way back down, which is nice. I love when pairs move accordingly, and I don't like big moves. I mean, like sometimes I do. Obviously volatility is good to make money, but I like when things are just consistent. Like, so this came up to this zone, nice doji candle, big bearish engulfing candle, and then just, you know, consistent down. So we'll probably come down right to this zone here. So I don't really see, I mean, you're welcome to short it if you want. I don't see a really great entry or anything, so I'm not going to touch it, but I'm just going to watch it and then maybe consider buying it once it gets to a significant area down here and find some resistance. This moving average catches up. We'll see how it correlates with the other CAD pairs, and then maybe look for a buy, but nothing right now. Euro Swiss pulling back up a little bit today, struggling with the zone here. I do want it to head lower, and I do think it will. I think it's just a bit of a pullback day. We'll see how it closes though. We'll see if this finds some resistance and then heads back down and sells off for the day. But no real trades on the Euro Swiss, so I'm just gonna let that keep going down. Euro Pound absolutely going through the roof. Headed to this zone here and this moving average. This is actually becoming a pretty good trade setup. So I'll have to wait for price to come up to here. We can move these accordingly. Depending on, this might be a good short to end the month. So at your 87 level, this price likes whole numbers. Get that out of the way. So Euro Pound usually moves about 250 pips a month. So that puts us at 84.5, correct? Yeah. So that's your 250 pip move. If it decides that it wants to, once it hits this area, if it decides it wants to sell off and target its full monthly range, that's where it's headed to. We'll see if it has the momentum to do that, but I'm going to wait till it hits this area here and touches this 87 level again before placing anything. But I think this might be a good setup for next week. So I like to let pair, generally, unless I am impatient, then I usually pay the price, but I like to let pairs set up and just like take extra time. I think if you can be more disciplined trading and just always give yourself a little bit more time. So if you think that the entry's good right now, odds are there's a better entry if you just wait a little bit longer. So again, that's not always perfect, but I would like to just wait. So let's say this candle comes in, hits this zone, and then tomorrow is another candle that's in this zone, but it wicks out a little bit. That's perfect. And then Monday I would just watch it, and if I can see the bearish momentum coming in, then I will jump in on the trade. But instead of like taking the trade right now, let's say, and anticipating that price hits this area and rejects it, I mean, you're sitting in a trade. I mean, I wouldn't hold the trade over the weekend, but let's say you would hold the trade over the weekend, then like you're in a position for 4 days before you even need to be in it. Whereas like I can just wait for price to hit this area today, reject a little bit, print a really weak candle tomorrow, and then Monday or Tuesday see a lot of bearish momentum come in, get like a nice big bearish engulfing gray candle here, and then you enter the trade and you target all this area down. So instead of entering this trade 4 days early and just sitting on it and stressing, you literally just wait a bit, and then everything just lines up perfect, and then you can ride the correct momentum in your favor downwards. So that's Euro Pound. I'm actually going to watch this as well and just see what it does. Got to check my streams. Everything's excellent. That's good. Okay, so Euro Yen. Not much. Hey, I don't think I really want to touch this at all. I'm just going to wait. Euro Yen's kind of, there's this upper area here. It's gonna have to break. It did find resistance at this lower area here. So I don't really know what it wants to do. So because of that, we will not touch it. Euro Kiwi, same as Euro US or Euro Aussie. So reject this zone, reject this zone, reject it again. It's a nice doji type candle here. So I do think this is pulling down. I think you could get in now. can find a better area. No, I thought maybe there'd be a better area on the 4 hour. Oops. I mean, there kind of is, but it's not great. I like wicks. I think wicks tell a better story, so I always like to look for wicks. And there is none on the 4 hour, so. But yeah, you could get in this now. Obviously, this would have been the perfect trade, which I set up earlier. Right at this zone, you get in here. You know, got a 4R. Your zone, your stop is outside of the zone, which is awesome. Even if you wanted to be really aggressive, you could have set it like there, which would have been right at this candle, right above this previous supply candle there. So yeah, that's Euro QE. You can get in it now. I do think it's going to head down. Obviously, you got to watch for this zone. It's going to struggle to break, but I think it will. See if this moving average catches up at all. I think this is the full monthly range. Yeah, so you know, it could do 650 pips downwards. So there's a ton of money there to make if you jump in on it now. If you wait, if you can get a better price, if you can let price come up to like right here kind of thing. Was this the 179 level? Then you could get in there. Just depends on what you feel is best for you. Euro, dollar. Okay, so yeah, this is great. So very bullish, higher highs, hit its full. This is its full monthly range at 400 pips. Started wicking in this zone. Bearish candle out of the zone. Retesting a little bit today, pulling back. So this is a pretty good setup, to be honest. Especially with the dollar getting stronger, like we checked out earlier. It is retracing, so it's coming back up, which means it's going to push Euro USD down, which it has been doing. This is a nice, get this trend line out of the way for you. You can see price pushing up, which is good, and then rejecting. So it's I call it price checking. So before, I think it's very healthy for pairs to do this. So before heading down, it wants to check up, make sure like, okay, nobody wants to buy this. Okay, we're going back down. It's I kind of look at it as like an auction type thing. So yeah, so price rejecting this area, wants to come down. You got this bearish engulfing 4 hour candle, and then you got this 4 hour candle here. It's pretty weak, and it's only got about an hour left, and then to close, and then probably with New York opening soon, this will head back down. So make sure my streaming's all good. Yep. Okay, so moving out. Oh wow, pound Aussie, massive 270 pip candle today. Totally crushed this zone. Wow, this is what I was hoping it would do. Look at it, mark this out all perfect. So yeah, absolutely crushed this zone. So now, I mean, you're welcome to get on it now. Obviously there is bearish momentum, and we can target this full monthly low, which is, it's an 800 pip movement, so we can target this. So if you want to jump on it now, you could. Obviously there's a very good chance that price comes back up and retest this area here, so, or at least these lows here might retest, so it might come up to the 190 level, so it could still come back up 120 pips. So personally, I wouldn't get on it now, but obviously it is very bearish, and there is good momentum heading down to the 186 level. So it just depends on if you want to get on now and then get in at like 189, get in at 190 kind of thing, and just as it keeps trickling back up and rejecting, you could just sell more. That's what I do a lot of the time, but there's a good chance that it comes back up to this zone. So I'm actually going to watch this. I'm going to set an alert here, because if price comes back up to this zone, I do want to get in on that. Wow, pound Aussie moving pretty good. So the pound pairs are weakening. It's good to know. Pound CAD, this is interesting. So we seen this yesterday. Again, just like the Euro CAD, moving very consistent, which I like. Came up to this area, rejection, rejection, nice bearish engulfing candle, and then I guess this isn't engulfing, but another bearish candle, and then this big one that came, touched the 618 zone, got rejected. Now you see this one touching, or completely through the 618 level. We'll see. There's a good chance this candle pulls back a little bit, and you know, price may have found its area of support, but who knows? I mean, if price continues down and blows through this zone, and then if it blows through this zone, then comes back up, retests this zone, and then starts rejecting, I would say there's a good chance that pound CAD's going bearish, and by then this moving average will probably catch up. Well, it's pretty slow actually. I don't think it'll catch up, but it'll be closer. So big area of significance here, so just have to see. I mean, as far as a weekly goes, this is very this is a good sign that the trend is changing based on, so we still have 1 day and 9 hours for this weekly candle to close, but if it closed right now, you can see that it's very bearish engulfing. It's at this previous, it was at this previous area of structure resistance. So I mean, if price was to completely turn around trend wise, now's the time. So we'll watch this. This candle is very bearish, very full. Doesn't look like there's much, if any, bullish momentum in the market for pound CAD, so I think that's just going to continue down. Pound Swiss, I am in this trade. It's doing very well. It's hitting this zone that I marked out. Obviously it doesn't want to go any lower. It seems like it's rejecting a bit. I do think it will eventually push into it more. The 110.5 level that I have marked here is the full monthly range, so I do want it to push into that a bit more. Yeah, because it moves on average about 410 pips and it's at 390, so there is a tiny bit more range left in it, so I'm going to hold it. And like today, it's still, we know that all the pound pairs are bearish, it seems anyways, so we have that favoring us, plus this candle is still bearish. So I mean, the momentum's still there. It's not like it's pulling up dramatically or anything like that. A little bit of rejection, but yeah. So I mean, this is engulfing now, so there's about an hour left for that to close. So I do think there's enough bearish momentum in this pair to push down, hit this 10.5 level. I'm actually going to mark this. I'll add an alert, because as soon as price hits this, I'm going to probably close it, because I feel like that's really fair. Pound yen pushing down. I think I don't know if we looked at some of the other yen pairs and they were pushing up, but I think the pound itself is losing its strength. So I think this is a good short, to be honest. Obviously it would have been better if we got in up here, but that would have been a little bit more risky. Pound yen does trend very well, so up and down. So I think if price breaks this area, which I do think it will, I think it's going to head lower. I think there's enough. I think the pound itself is losing so much strength, and I don't think there's enough positive or enough bullish momentum in the other yen pairs to push this up. So I do think this is a safe bet to short down. But again, I mean, you're counter trend trading, because pound yen is still very much bullish overall, and we can see This moving average way down here. So again, you're counter trend trading, so there is that risk, but I do believe for the rest of the month, this is a good short position to take. Oh yeah, pound Kiwi. So very excited for this pair too. So obviously it's touching this zone 4th time. I do think it'll push through this zone. When, I don't know. Oops. When, I don't know, but this is, yeah, I talked about this a few days ago. You can see all this weekly rejection. This is where price, like the trend, this is where pound Kiwi most likely turns around and heads bearish. So because it's at such a significant area of resistance and clearly has not been able to break it, obviously we have to wait for it to break this zone, but it's, you know, if it's hit 4 times, the more times price hits a zone, the more likely it is to not respect it. So it's hit this area 4 times now. It's got bearish momentum going into it, so there's a good chance, you know. And then the pound on every other pair is getting weaker, so I do think this is a very good short position. You can see the rejection, but it did cross over this 4-hour moving average. Another good sign. So it just depends on when you want to get in on this. You could wait for it to break this area before you start shorting it. If you want to short it now, I mean, this is the full monthly range. It's about 750 pips, which is massive. There's a chance that, like, it's only been 2 days now. Today is the 2nd day, obviously, and there's still 9 hours left for this candle to close. But I mean, within the first half of next week, there's a chance that price is all the way down here. So, whoa, yawning. So yeah, there's a good chance that price is already way down here by mid next week, because when this pair moves, it really moves, and it moves on average 180 pips a day right now, and it's already moved 180 today, so it moves quick. So that is pound Kiwi. Pound USD, perfect retracement heading down into this zone. So it did its full monthly range. Now it's just retracing. Very, very healthy. Although remember, the dollar is gaining strength, and then the pound itself is losing strength. So we do have to watch this, because this trend might not continue. If it would be worth a buy if price hits this zone, starts rejecting, and then shows bullish momentum entering the market, re-entering the market, then it would be a good buy. But we do have to watch this until, and I want to make sure that there's significant resistance at this area, because if there's not, then there's a chance that this breaks lower and lower and lower, because of the dollar getting stronger and the pound losing its strength and just slipping a bit. But as far as a retracement trade, if you would have gotten up here on its full, after it completed its full monthly range, if you were to just retrace it, I mean, there wasn't a ton of good entry signs up here either. So to me, there wasn't actually really a trade, but just understanding the market flow, I mean, you still could have, as soon as it hit its range, you can kind of, I call it fading it. So you basically bet that and this is sometimes really backfires, don't get me wrong, but you basically bet that the pair is going to run out of strength just based on previous momentum and range. So if it usually moves 400 pips in a month, as soon as it hits that 400 pips, then you know it's going to lose range. You know there's a very good chance that it's not going to do another 400 pips, right? So if you can, and then if you see signs of it losing strength, you know, you see price structure changing a little bit, you see something like this, like if you look at this bullish leg here and then you look at this section here, they're vastly different. So, and then you can see this resistance setting up here. So I mean, you definitely could have taken a trade off of this just based on the premises that you are expecting that the price is the trend is just changing because it's ranged out. So that is pound dollar. Good old NAS. I'm waiting for this to crash, but does not appear to be, so I just have to keep waiting, but it seems to be setting up a little bit of a area of resistance. This is a decent hammer candle here, so you also have whole numbers here. So this is your 15, 15.8, maybe 15.9. I just like to do my whole number. Oh yeah, so 15.9. So price is rejecting the 15.9 level, so we will watch that. I mean, if you look at the monthly, it's moved about 1,000 pips and it moves about 1,400 a month, so I don't know if it's done its monthly range yet, and it's not quite at this upper resistance weekly area. However, I've noticed that with a lot of pairs, price doesn't always make it up. Like, so like this is a previous area. Should mark this a little bit better, hang on. So if this is your previous area of resistance, usually price won't make it all the way up. It'll make it close, but it won't make it all the way up. I do think that based on the rest of this bullish momentum that the NAS 100 still has, I do think it'll head higher. I don't want it to, but I think it will. But I don't necessarily think it'll get this high. I think it might come up with it might create its new zone around this area, maybe at like the previous high of this week back in January of 22. So, which isn't much higher than it is now, but we'll have to wait and see on that. We'll see if this price structure changes. I mean, might be worth taking a trade. I mean, it's not the highest probability trade, but might still make sense. But I still have to wait a bit for that one. Kiwi CAD trends really well. It's just making its way back down. Bearish, below the moving average. There's a little bit of a resistance here, but yeah, we'll most likely just keep. We'll probably head into this zone, break it, and just head lower for its 81 level, which is its monthly range, 350 pips. So nothing too crazy happening with that pair. Kiwi Swiss pushing back up a little bit today, but finding some resistance. You can see this 4-hour candle setting up on this little area here. So this is good. I want it to continue lower. I am in this trade. I want it to hit its full monthly range of 53 level down here marked. So that's what I have for NZD Swiss. I mean, you're welcome to take a trade now if you wanted. Pretty aggressive, but I mean, I would probably wait for this candle to close. Could do something like this. It is aggressive, but it's not a bad trade. So I would wait for this 4-hour candle to close. You do have this 54 level, so remember, price loves whole numbers. You can actually extend this through here. You can see price broke below this 54 level, rejection, like comes tight. You can see all this bullish momentum right to this level, and then it just stops. Now you can see this candle hits this area on the 4-hour, is rejecting. So this is actually an excellent trade. I think I'm going to sell more actually, and target this 53 level. So that is Kiwi Swiss. Kiwi Yen, not as strong as Aussie Yen, obviously. Don't see a lot of bullish momentum in this to buy it, or to think that it's going to return to its normal bullish trend like the other yen pairs. So again, with Kiwi yen, I would just wait here. I would just wait till you see. I mean, maybe if it breaks this area, then I would consider price continuing its trend up and look for long positions. But that'll probably, I mean, that's going to take a bit. That'll be at least next week, at least, if not next month. So probably nothing happening with this pair until next month. Kiwi dollar, so you can see price came up today, is rejecting. So it wants to head lower. Makes sense because the US dollar is getting stronger. It is retracing like we looked at earlier. The Kiwi is getting weaker across all the other pairs, and it was in this, it hit its area of resistance up here, and now it's just making its way back down and going to most likely target its monthly range of like 350 pips. So that's Kiwi dollar. Oil, I'm waiting for this oil short. Probably could get in on it now. You can see price, lots of wicks here on this 4 hour. It's creating its own little resistance zone here. So yeah, this is actually a good trade. I would take this oil trade. I think you're banking on a few things. So previous area, resistance, 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 broke, came back in, big bearish momentum out of it, comes back into this zone, big bearish engulfing candle out of this zone. Then you have this bullish engulfing candle to take you right back up to this zone. Then you get this one, which is a huge wick, hits the $77 level just about, doesn't like it. Seems that it can't even break this $76 level. Rejection, rejection, rejection. And now price seems to be rejecting this little area below it. So we'll see what this does, but I would say if oil breaks on a zone that's like you could enter this sell now or wait. I'm going to wait, so I want to see price. You can see it rejection, rejection, but it's like it's pushing higher but barely. Like, you know, it wants to go down, but it's taking its sweet time. So and with New York opening soon, you just don't know if there's a bunch of momentum. I still think it's going to sell off, but there could be a bunch of bullish momentum first, and so I mean, you could wait for that and then you might get a better price. If price comes into this zone, I mean, definitely sell it. If it comes above $76, sell it. Or if price momentum comes in and pushes this down to like 75 too, then I think the bears are entered enough and you can enter the short. So I'm going to watch this as well. I think oil is going to be an excellent short. You know, it respected this moving average perfectly. You got this big bearish candle out of this zone, and then you have price come into this zone and, you know, basically almost touch the top of the zone, get completely rejected on the day. So that shows that nobody wants to pay over $76 a barrel for oil. So I like that. Oh man, this this UK 100, unreal. I'm still in this trade. It's not marked out, but it was my entry somewhere here, so I'm hedged, and thankfully it's in this zone now. Hopefully some bearish momentum comes back into this index and I can get out of it. But I mean, this is a significant area, so hopefully the bearish momentum comes back in. I'm really surprised this did this. I think I'm really going to question if I ever trade this again, just based on this situation. I mean, it's not like financially I'm okay, but I think there's just so much. I think this index disrespected me so bad that I might have to just never touch it again. I might have to just put my money in other things. I usually don't trade this, but it was such a nice setup. Like it broke this structure here. Like if we replay this, like This is a good learning lesson for you guys. Like, based on this, is this not the perfect setup? Honestly, like, rejected, rejected, came up, busted, rejecting it now, right? So like, this is the trade I took based on last Thursday. Textbook perfect trade. All of a sudden, and then it gets even better. Like, you look at this and you're like, wow, like that's perfect. Like, I would enter this trade all day. Even better. Oh my god, like how many more confirmations do you need? Like, it doesn't get better than this. And then you get this candle, which, I mean, isn't crazy. Like, it's bullish, but it's not completely massive. And I mean, it's still kind of in this zone. Like, if you extended the zone just a little bit, it would still be in it. But then you get this, and you're just like, what? And like, I mean, I should have closed this trade. I kind of just like, I would have closed it, but I just missed the close. Like, and by the time that it was so far out, like, it was so much against me. I don't know where I got my hedging, but I decided just to hedge it instead of taking this massive loss. I just hedged it because I'll hedge my way out of it now, but it's just like, what? And then it just gets worse. So as of today, so like, yeah, weird position that I'm in now with this index, but I think I'll be just fine. It's just experience, I guess, you know. And yet, like, I did not expect this to do this. I mean, I would have never taken this trade, obviously, if I knew it was going to do this, or I thought it was going to do this, but it did do it. So now I just have to hedge my way out, and that's part of trading, is you just kind of go with the flow. You can't really, only do so much. You can only control so much. You can be disciplined with your entries and your exits, but yeah, I mean, completely blindsided by this. And then I missed a proper stop. You know, if I would have just lost a little bit of money, like right here, but then all of a sudden this candle was just massive and completely missed my stop. So I had to hedge it, and now we're just dealing with it. S&P 500 is in a zone here now, so I'm actually going to delete this. And I'm going to watch this because this is a very significant zone, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 very closely correlated, but the S&P 500 is based on the top 500 companies in the US, and the NASDAQ is mostly tech. So there is a difference there, and so I don't think the S&P 500 will necessarily go up as high as the NASDAQ will. So the NASDAQ might go up another level of resistance to where it was higher, like at the previous highs, the previous all-time highs, but the S&P 500 might not. This might be its end zone. So we'll just wait this out and see how this week closes. There's still at 1 day and 9 hours left on this weekly candle, but we can see all these previously weekly candles back in early 2022. So there's a good chance that price doesn't break it above this zone, and it's found its top. USD CAD, again, not trading this pair because the US dollar and the Canadian dollar is pretty much even right now, and just in the sense that, like, they're both gaining strength at the same time. The dollar is retracing and the Canadian dollar is retracing, so there's, when it comes down to this pair, there's just not going to be enough movement in it, I don't think, for me. So, and there's no significant levels. It's just kind of flat and ugly. Don't really want it. Okay, so this is good. So USD Swiss is pushing back up. It's rejected the zone a bunch of times. This entire week it's rejected. Now there's some bullish momentum coming out of it. So this is probably retracing. I think it's a safe bet to say that it is retracing. There's nothing really in the way. There's no previous areas of resistance in here, so there's a good chance that this makes its way all the way back up to at least probably about the 88 level here. So I don't want to trade this because it is counter trend, and I am bearish on my other Swiss trades, so it's a conflict of interest, kind of, sort of. So I'm not going to buy this, but I do think it is actually a good buy, or very well could be. I think it'll be especially for next week. For next week, I think this will be a nice, consistent buy. Probably make 200 pips, 150 pips. If you get in on it early next week, you let the rest of this week kind of just settle out and let it build its support, and then buy it early next week and target 200 pips. I might actually do that next week, but right now I'm not doing it. But that, I will mark this because it'd be worth looking at next week. Yeah, USD yen, same thing, right? Just it's probably going to slow and steady. It found its resistance. Now it's going to retrace back up. Most likely head higher than this, but the first target is just this 618 area, this retracement zone, just based on this monthly leg. So this was the monthly move. Now it's retracing its monthly move. Very, very common for price to do this. And then, especially with the US dollar gaining its strength back, this all makes sense. All correlates properly. I do like this. You could buy this now. There's not really a perfect entry, so you just have to go with the flow, buy it now, ride it out, and will most likely be up next week. Bunch of news coming out in 5 minutes. Make sure these streams are all good. Yep. So silver is about to hit this major zone here that I have marked on the $25.50 mark. Might consider shorting it up top once it gets into this zone more. Maybe this 25.5 level. We'll just have to see. I'm gonna wait for that. Nothing right now though on silver. Ooh, gold is interesting. Okay, so this is it's a good story. So gold, it's got its bullish momentum, comes down, rejects the zone, finds its support, massive bullish candle out of it, back into this previous zone, sells off a little bit on the day. Next day, can't do anything with it. Today, pushes up through it, gets rejected. So the only thing to do with this is wait. So I mean, again, because the US dollar is gaining strength, it is retracing, it's going to tend to push gold down. So there's that variable, but then also I do think, I mean, gold is still bullish, obviously, like it's way above the moving average. You got this whole bullish leg. It looks like it wants to head to this, you know, its full range for the month would be 2,020 bucks. So I do think this is going to end up pushing through this zone, but I would have to wait for a price to come down to like this area, and in this zone I would probably just extend this, actually the full zone. So this is a 4-hour zone, and I would have to see price coming into it about 1975, and then if it rejects in this 4-hour zone, then it's considered, I would consider buying it. Based on, like, if this candle closed today, obviously, like if this candle closed right now, then I mean no way I would buy it. But because there's 8.5 hours left for this candle to close, I think if price dips into this area and finds some buyers, finds some bulls in this area, then I do think that it can definitely push past this zone. It does this all the time. Especially gold, like if price comes down into a nice supply area, it'll get bought up real quick and it'll just push it right through this zone. Like it won't even, it's rejecting this area now, but if price comes down to here and enough bulls come in, it'll just right quick, 20 bucks right through it. So it does happen. So we're at the end. That's all of our pairs. That's all the Forex pairs we're going over today. Went over some commodities. not going to do stocks or crypto today. I'm going to go through everything, and I'll put some trade setups out. So look forward to those. Thanks for watching. Appreciate anyone that finds value in this. If you do find value, let me know some way. Comment, send me an email, something. I don't care. Just reach out if you have any questions. Be happy to answer them. Thank you guys.